Fake friendship doesn't just leave us feeling betrayed. It makes us question our own judgment. How did I not see this? How did I let this person so close? Here's what I want you to hear. Fake friends don't expose you, they expose themselves. But when we get hurt, our brains don't process it that way. Research shows that social rejection activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. That's why betrayal stings. It's wired into us for survival. We need belonging. And when we realize someone was only loyal for their own convenience, it shakes us. And let's be honest, when someone betrays us, it never feels like a reflection of them. It feels like a reflection of us. We don't just think, wow, I misjudged them. We think, what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Because that's how we're wired. As humans, we're deeply relational creatures. Our brains crave connection the way our lungs crave air. And when that connection shatters, it can feel like we're suffocating under the weight of rejection. The hard truth is betrayal wouldn't hurt if we didn't care. It wouldn't cut so deep if we hadn't trusted. And that's what makes it so painful. Because when we trust, we hand someone a piece of ourselves. We invite them in. And when they turn out to be something other than what we believed, it's not just them we lose. We lose the story we had about them. We lose the version of ourselves that believed in them, and that's where the self-doubt sneaks in. How did I not see this coming? Was I blind? Was I too trusting? And the worst one of all, what if I can't tell the difference next time? Psychologists call this attribution error, the tendency to blame ourselves when things go wrong in relationships. It's that little voice in our head whispering, maybe if I had been a better friend, they wouldn't have left. But let me tell you something. When someone betrays you, it's not because you weren't good enough. It's because they lack the integrity to be who they pretended to be. And I know that doesn't make the hurt go away, but it does mean this. You don't have to carry the weight of their choices. You don't have to internalize their behavior as a measure of your worth, because betrayal is not proof that you are unworthy of love or loyalty. It's proof that they were unworthy of the trust you gave them. There's this moment after betrayal where we have a choice. We can either close ourselves off, put up walls, trust no one, stay guarded, or we can do something even braver. We can learn, we can pay attention to patterns instead of just words. We can trust actions instead of promises. We can accept that not everyone who enters our life is meant to stay. And that's not our failure. It's just part of the process of finding the people who are real. So if you've been hurt by someone you trusted, I need you to stop carrying their shame as your own. Let it hurt. Let it teach you, but don't let it make you bitter. Because real loyalty, real friendship, it doesn't come with conditions. It doesn't disappear when you're no longer useful. And it sure as hell doesn't leave you questioning your own worth. The people who truly belong in your life, they show up even when it's hard. They stay even when it's inconvenient. They don't just mirror what you want to see, they stand beside you, even when things get messy. And that's the difference between people who play the role of a friend and the ones who actually are. Because sometimes what we think is loyalty is really just someone trying to blend in, and that's where things get tricky. There's actually a term in psychology called the chameleon effect. It describes how some people mirror us to gain acceptance, but not out of genuine connection. They adapt, they blend, they say all the right things, but when tested, their loyalty vanishes. These are the friendships that feel deep until you realize they were only reflecting back what you wanted to see. You know the kind of person I'm talking about. The ones who seem to understand you perfectly. They nod in all the right places, agree with your values, share your interests, even pick up your mannerisms. And for a while, it feels amazing, like you found someone who gets you. But then something shifts. Maybe it's a difficult season in your life. Maybe you finally ask for something real, honest, support, accountability, and suddenly they're distant, unavailable. Or worse, they start siding with the very people you thought they stood against. And it's confusing, right? Because how can someone who seemed so aligned with you just disappear? How can someone who once felt like your closest confidant suddenly act like a stranger? The answer is simple but hard to accept. they were never really with you. They were with the version of you that suited them in the moment. That's the tricky thing about the chameleon effect. It's not always malicious. Some people do it without even realizing. Their need to fit in, to be liked, to stay on the winning side, it overrides their ability to form real connections. They say what you want to hear, not because they believe it, but because they know it will bring them closer to you. They mirror your values, not because they share them, but because it makes them feel included. And as long as it's easy, as long as there's no cost, they play the role of a friend flawlessly. But loyalty isn't tested in the good times. It's tested when it costs something. When standing by you means standing up to someone else. When being your friend means inconvenience, discomfort, or risk. That's when the chameleons disappear. That's when they start making excuses, shifting their stance, subtly rewriting history to protect themselves. And you're left wondering if the connection was ever real at all. And I know how hard that realization is. It shakes your trust, not just in them, but in yourself. Because if they fooled you, who else might be pretending? If they were able to slip past your guard, how do you know who's truly in your corner? But here's the truth. Recognizing a chameleon isn't about being suspicious of everyone. It's about watching for patterns instead of just words. Do they show up when it's inconvenient? Do they stand by you even when it costs them something? Do they stay consistent, not just when you're together, but when you're not around? Because real friends don't just reflect you, they bring their own colors to the table. If you've ever been burned by someone who seemed to be everything you wanted in a friend, but turned out to be nothing you could count on, it's not because you weren't good enough. It's because they never learned how to be real. And nothing makes that clearer than when life gets hard. Real friendship isn't proven in good times. It's revealed in hard times. If someone disappears when life gets messy, that's not a friend. And if their loyalty depends on what you can do for them, it was never loyalty to begin with. There's something uniquely painful about realizing that someone who once felt like a constant in your life was only there when things were easy, when the laughter was effortless, when you were giving more than you needed, when there was no real challenge to the friendship. But the moment you hit a rough patch, whether it's grief, stress, conflict, or just a season where you have less to give, suddenly their presence starts to fade. Maybe they don't return texts as quickly. Maybe they're always so busy. Maybe they avoid checking in even when they know you're struggling. And worst of all, maybe they make you feel like the problem, like your pain is too much, like your struggles are inconvenient. And that kind of absence, it leaves a scar. Because when someone actively betrays you, at least you know what happened. But when someone simply drifts away when you need them most, it creates this open-ended grief, this unanswered question of, were they ever really here at all? Now, to be clear, nobody owes us constant availability. We all have our own lives, our own struggles, our own limits, and we can't expect people to be there for us all the time. But there's a difference between setting healthy boundaries and vanishing the moment things get hard. Real friends don't need to fix everything, but they show up. Even if it's just a simple check-in, a message that says, hey, I know things are tough right now, and I want you to know I care. Presence isn't about solving problems. It's about reminding people they don't have to face them alone. The hardest part about this kind of realization is that it forces you to reevaluate people you thought were safe. The ones who called you their best friend, the ones who celebrated your wins, the ones who seem like they would be in your corner no matter what. But when it comes down to it, friendship isn't measured in how many times someone tells you they care. It's measured in whether they actually act like they do when it matters most. And I get it. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking because we want to believe that the people we invest in will invest in us too. But here's what I've learned. When people walk away in your hardest moments, let them. Don't chase, don't beg, don't try to remind them of all the times you were there for them. Because real friendship, it doesn't need reminders. It doesn't fade when things get inconvenient. And it doesn't disappear when you need it most. The truth is, absence reveals more than presence ever could. When someone shows you that their loyalty is conditional, believe them. Don't waste your energy trying to hold on to people who let go of you the moment it no longer serves them. Because the friendships that do last, They don't need perfect circumstances to survive. They withstand distance, discomfort, and difficulty. They don't just celebrate your highs. They hold space for your lows. And that's what separates people who are just passing through from the ones who are truly meant to stay. Friendship should never feel like a performance. It should never feel like you have to carefully manage your words, your emotions, or your success to keep someone comfortable. But fake friends, the ones whose loyalty is just an illusion, often create an unspoken pressure, a tension that makes you second guess yourself, a feeling that if you take up too much space, shine too brightly, or even just set a boundary, you might lose them. And here's the thing, true friendship isn't fragile. It doesn't crack under honesty. It doesn't require you to shrink yourself to make someone else feel bigger. If you find yourself constantly filtering your words, holding back your feelings, or downplaying your achievements just to keep the peace, that's not friendship. That's managing someone else's insecurities at the expense of your own authenticity. It's subtle at first. You tell them good news, maybe about a promotion, a new relationship, or something you've worked really hard for, and instead of celebrating with you, they change the subject or give you a half-hearted, that's nice. And you feel it in your gut. They're not happy for you. And maybe you let it slide because, well, they didn't say anything negative, but the next time you hesitate before sharing your excitement. And over time, without even realizing it, you start making yourself smaller. You start censoring your joy, your struggles, even your personality, just to avoid that uncomfortable feeling. But here's what I need you to hear. Friendship should never feel like that. Real friends don't compete with you. They don't keep a silent scoreboard measuring whether you have more or less than they do. They don't resent your growth or withdraw their support when your life starts looking different from theirs. Psychologists talk about something called covert competition, when someone pretends to be supportive but secretly feels threatened by your success. And it doesn't just apply to achievements. It can be emotional too. Maybe they're fine as long as you're struggling, as long as they feel like the strong one. But the moment you start healing, the moment you grow into your confidence, their energy shifts. They're suddenly distant or critical or passive aggressive. And let's be honest, when this happens, it's easy to blame ourselves. We think, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I should tone it down. Maybe I should just stay quiet. But shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable isn't friendship. It's self-betrayal. And the truth is, people who can't handle your joy, your strength, your truth, they were never really in your corner to begin with. Real friendship is spacious. It allows for growth, for change, for differences. It's not about staying in the same place together. It's about cheering for each other wherever life takes you. And the people who are meant to be in your life, they won't make you feel like you have to walk on eggshells just to keep them there. Because when loyalty is real, it doesn't come with conditions. And when friendship is true, you never have to question whether being yourself is too much. Not everyone in your life is rooting for your healing. That's a hard truth to accept, but an important one. Some people are drawn to your struggle, your self-doubt, your moments of weakness, not because they want to help, but because it makes them feel better about where they stand. They like the version of you that second guesses yourself, the version that apologizes too much, that seeks approval, that doesn't yet realize how strong you really are. Because as long as you stay in that place, they don't have to question their own insecurities. And you can feel it when this dynamic is at play. When you're struggling, they're right there, eager to listen, to console, to be the wise one in the friendship. But the moment you start standing up for yourself, the moment you set a boundary, the moment you stop looking to them for validation, something shifts. Maybe they become distant. Maybe they downplay your progress. Maybe they act like you've changed in a way that suddenly makes them uncomfortable. And if you've ever experienced this, you know how confusing it is. Because on the surface, they were always there for you, right? They seemed like the ones who cared the most. But what you realize, often too late, is that their support was never about wanting to see you thrive. It was about keeping you in a place where they felt needed, where they felt important, where they didn't have to examine their own limitations. Psychologists call this attachment to the underdog narrative, when someone only knows how to relate to you when you're struggling. It's not that they want you to suffer, but your struggles serve a purpose for them. They confirm a role, a power dynamic, a familiarity that makes them feel secure. And once that dynamic shifts, they don't know where they fit anymore. And I want to be really clear here. Real friends do support you in your hardest moments. They do show up when you're hurting, but the difference, they also celebrate when you're healing. They don't just love the version of you that's broken. They love the version of you that's whole, that's strong, that's finally realizing your worth. This is why some friendships fall apart when one person starts growing, because growth forces reflection. It forces us to question old patterns, to reevaluate what we've accepted, to step into new levels of self-respect. And when you do that, it naturally exposes the people who were only comfortable with you when you didn't know your worth. So here's the truth. Not everyone who has walked with you through the storm is meant to walk with you into the sunlight. Some people were only there because in the storm they felt needed. And when the sun comes out, when you no longer need them in the same way, they choose to leave rather than celebrate with you. And I know that's painful. It feels like betrayal, but in reality, it's just a revelation, a painful but necessary unveiling of who was truly there for you, not just for the role you played in their life. Because the people who are meant to be in your life, they don't just hold your hand when you're down. They stand beside you when you rise. And they never make you feel like you have to stay small just to keep them around. Here's the truth. Real friendship is not about convenience. It's not about proximity. It's not about who's been around the longest. It's about who shows up with integrity, with consistency, with genuine care, without conditions. And sometimes the hardest but most freeing thing you'll ever do is let go of the illusion of loyalty and make room for the kind of friendships that don't require you to question where you stand. The people who are meant to be in your life will never ask you to trade your peace for their comfort. They will never make you feel guilty for growing, for healing, for setting boundaries. They will never require you to dim your light so they can feel brighter. And most importantly, they won't leave the moment you stop needing them and start standing on your own. So if this journey has revealed who's truly in your corner and who was only there out of convenience, take it as a gift. Painful, yes, but necessary, because the friendships that remain, the ones that stand strong, even when the circumstances change, those are the ones worth investing in. You deserve relationships built on authenticity, on mutual respect, on real connection. And when you let go of the ones that were never truly there, you create space for the kind of friendships that don't just survive the hard times, but celebrate the good ones too.